We're live. Hi.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm okay. I returned yesterday from a week-long trip.
Mm-hmm.
So here we are. So after a week-long trip of relaxation, I had to come back and watch Martyrs.
That's your fault.
That's my fault.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so the theme for this live was French horror, specifically from the Splat Pack.
Mm-hmm. Or also known as the new French extremity. They call that movement.
So the options for people to vote from were Inside, Martyrs, Them, Frontiers, and
High tension.
High Tension. And overwhelmingly, people chose Martyrs.
And I didn't like this movie then. I don't like this movie now. It's the only one I didn't want to talk about.
I have seen all of the options. I remembered this one, so I was hoping a different one would win. But here we are.
I would probably my favorite of those is Inside. It's been a long time since I watched Them, which was remade kind of as The Strangers with Liv Tyler, and Frontiers. I'd really be curious to revisit, especially seeing where that director has gone off into kind of B movie schlock since then.
Okay, so the basic story of Martyrs, for anyone who hasn't seen it, it's an ultra-violent movie. It's about a lady named Lucie. We see her as a young girl escape like an industrial space where clearly she was being,
I think it's a slaughterhouse.
or a slaughterhouse, where she was being abused. So she gets picked up and placed in an orphanage. And in the orphanage, she befriends another young girl named Anna. And Lucie is having visions of like this like monster lady. So there's that. Then we flash forward 15 years and we see that Lucie has gone back to the home of the family who was taking care of her and also responsible for her torture. It's important to know that no one is really believing Lucie and all the claims that she's making. So Lucie goes back to this house and kills the mom and the dad and their two children. Then she calls her best friend Anna and tells her like, girl, I did what needed to be done. So Anna shows up at the house and then agrees to like help her sort of clean up the mess, which makes no sense to me, but
well, they imply that they're also lovers at this point.
Sure. And then there's a phone call with like Anna's mom. We'll get to that. But anyway, after Lucie kills the family, she's still having the vision of that like monster lady. So I guess she realizes like she'll never escape this nightmare. So Lucie kills herself. So now the movie switches to being from Anna's perspective. And Anna's
well, yeah, because people looking for the homeowners invade.
Yes. But prior to that, Anna is bebopping around the house.
Sure.
And she's in the living room. And this is a very nice modern house. And she's in the living room and like the main entertainment center, she just opens up the cabinet and it's this huge cabinet door. And it's an entryway to like an underground layer that's like a very modern clinical institute. And that's when we learn about this secret society of people who are trying to recreate martyrdom because they believe that if someone can reach martyrdom, they can see like what's after death and they want to know what it is. So then Anna is taken and they abuse her to the point where she reaches martyrdom, which we can get into.
Mm-hmm.
And then she tells the leader of this group, this old lady who they refer to as Mademoiselle.
Too old to be a Mademoiselle, but
which I thought was funny. Anna tells her what she saw. And so now the entire group has gathered to hear like what has been said. And Mademoiselle kills herself right before she tells like the assistant, like, do you believe there's like life after love or whatever Cher said?
Uh-huh.
And the lady says, keep doubting, and then shoots herself in the mouth. The end.
Mm-hmm.
I did not care for this movie.
Which is funny because I remember when I first showed it to you,
I saw it in 2008.
You liked it more than I did.
I think at that point I hadn't seen a lot of these, like I hadn't seen any of these Splat Pack movies. So I think I was very intrigued. But now having seen any and everything, I think that there are too many ideas that are put together in something that doesn't quite make sense. And I have ideas on what I think would have been a better movie, but yeah, overall, I did not care for this. Also, I know that people think it's like the benchmark for violence. I don't know. Maybe I've just watched too many things now. Sure, maybe for 2008, it probably did feel like, and for someone like me who had never seen stuff like that, it definitely felt ultra violent.
Yeah, I remember when I saw
But
it.
watching it last night, I was just kind of, I thought it was more tedious than anything.
Yes, I agree. But
Yeah.
I remember seeing it in theaters at the Toronto Film Festival, and there was a whole thing about people fainting and vomiting, and it's one of those films that I can see why it inspires that. But again, story wise, there's a lot lacking, and I do appreciate a really terrible, bleak film, which it kind of is, because I think the suggestion is that there really isn't anything. There's no meaning beyond life, and that these people have debased themselves and others to such an extent that this woman knows, the Mademoiselle knows that she's wasted her time, so she just kills herself.
Yeah, I mean, you could read it. I feel like this movie wants to be intellectual, but it like the story is not there. It just feels so flat. But let's just go. I'll get to the comments, but let me go through these notes I wrote down. I thought this movie should be called Leave, because
in Partir.
Because that's how you say leave in French. When Anna shows up at that house, I know they were friends, maybe lovers, but no.
Yep, time to go.
And then she's helping her dispose of the bodies.
And then one of the mother is still alive, and she tries to hide that from Lucie.
Oh, you know what? I should go through, because I'm sure for people who haven't seen it, they probably want to know about the extreme violence.
Oh, tell us.
And then they probably don't want to watch it. So I thought I would describe it. Okay, so speaking of the mom, Lucie shoots everyone, but the mom of the family doesn't die. So then Lucie has to kill her, and she grabs like a mallet and smashes her in the head. That was very violent. Then Lucie, we get a scene after she kills the family and realizes that she's still seeing the monster lady. She's like cutting herself, and then she slits her throat. When Anna goes down into that like basement layer, she finds a woman who's severely emaciated, clearly has been like mutilated. And then she has like a face mask that's bolted into her skull. So we see Anna like removing it with a screwdriver. That was pretty gruesome. Then once that like lady with the face mask is like released, she clearly cannot handle life. So she tries to kill herself I thought actually the most gruesome part of the movie to me was that lady trying to cut. She takes a big knife to her wrist, like trying to like slice it off like fucking lunch meat. That was gross. And then of course, I think the two most talked about scenes, and the ones that I remember from watching it, are there's a pretty long extended scene of Anna being punched. That is, I mean, it's just hard to watch. And then of course the ending when Anna gets skinned alive. And then she's hung like on display, of course, is very gruesome. That being said, I feel like watching Terrifier 2 a few weeks ago in the theater, I think I had more reaction to that. Like, oh God.
Well, it's also fresh in your mind. I think you already know what to expect, like in your mind's eye, from Martyrs, because you have seen it before.
Sure.
So there's already another level of desensitization there.
Yeah. So the story, there's so much about it that I think, first of all, it starts with like there's someone making a documentary about Lucie, when she was like found after escaping the slaughterhouse. And I think that plot point is used to explain why we have like old footage of Lucie and Anna. I thought that was poorly executed, and also the way it's presented looks kind of cheesy.
Well, I think there are 3 cinematographers credited on this film, but I think that needed to be incorporated. And I don't know if the director, this is his second to 4 films, Pascal Laugier, and I don't know if there was plans to incorporate that he eventually abandoned, because it's much like, remember in the movie Elle, where Isabelle Huppert's father had killed everyone in the neighborhood, and there was this special that appeared on television about it that reawakened those memories. That I'm assuming there was an angle like that maybe got cut out.
The music or the score for this movie is credited to, I guess, a person or a band called Seppuku Paradigm.
I think it's 2 people, but yeah.
Oh, it's 2 people?
Yeah.
I thought the score was kind of corny.
Yeah, I don't think it really works. Strangely, oddly, because usually that's one of the easier elements to correctly calibrate in a horror film. But
when Lucy's younger, there's a scene where the hospital staff of the orphanage, I guess, they are asking Anna, like, we can't get any information from her. We don't know what's going on. Can you tell us about your friend? So Anna's trying to help them. And then all of a sudden, an orderly walks into the room and says, like, Lucy didn't come to lunch. Which made me laugh because then Anna goes to look for her and she's just hiding in the bathroom. So I thought, did y'all look for her?
Yeah.
Like,
cutting up on herself.
the care she's receiving is terrible. The timing of the film, I was a little confused because I understood that when Lucy escapes the slaughterhouse, it's 1971. And then we see her age a little bit, like a couple years. And then it says 15 years later. So does that mean it would have been like the late 80s?
Well, they're using landlines. You know, there aren't any cell phones.
Sure, that house looked very modern to me, though. Then the layer, the institute. I mean, they did have a computer, and now I can't recall if the computer was a flat screen, but it definitely did not feel like late 80s, early 90s.
Also, it's unbelievable to me that the children of these people would not have seen signs about this underground institute.
In the living room, there is you mean to tell me these kids have never... Now, Lucy does ask, what's the actor or the guy who plays the son?
Xavier Dolan plays the teenage son.
She does ask him, did you know what your parents did? And he's kind of like, so who knows? Maybe he did know, but I find it hard to believe that the children did know. But I also find it hard to believe the children never opened the entertainment center and didn't see this obvious passageway. That really bothered me. Again, talking about their friendship, I'm just such a shitty person because I kept thinking I might have to drop her as my friend. It's really hard watching characters who are so severely emotionally disturbed because their behavior over the course of 30, 40 minutes becomes very tedious.
Well, and the fact that she's being plagued, you know, metaphorically by this girl that she had to abandon when she escaped, she's behaving in a way that suggests she cannot live on her own out in the world. So where is she coming from right now?
Lucy can't even moisturize her lips because her lips were so chapped.
I know, every time
it was so distracting.
Well, because I'm like, God, she needs some water. And then we see Anna drinking some water. Like,
get her some water. Okay. When Anna is helping Lucy clean up the murder scene, she because the opening of when we meet the family, the mom is digging or like fixing like a sewer line. So there's a big like pit in the backyard. So Anna drags the dead family members to the pit, dad, brother, sister. And then when she goes to see the mom is still alive. And then Anna's trying to save the mom. And I didn't understand, like, what was the purpose of trying to save that lady? Like, put her out of her misery. Like, you killed her family. You already buried them in a grave.
You just grabbed her daughter's corpse off the top of her.
Yeah, like what was Anna thinking she should do? What your ass should have done when you first got to the house was call the police. It's too late now.
And also, the family is presented in a way that's like, these are kind of terrible people, whether or not they are have been viciously torturing people in the basement. They're just really unlikable people. When the mother she puts a rat on the table, she's like, that was in one of the pipes. That
rat looked pristine.
That pristine little white rat was not in any pipe.
That rat looked like when you go to the pet store to buy the mouse. It's a mouse, not a rat, to feed your snake. Then when Anna gets to the house, she calls her mom. And the mom is like, are you with Lucy? Because clearly the mom doesn't like Lucy and knows that they're like romantic. And the mom says, she's a bitch, a pervert, and a loser.
It's the script. Laugier's script is so over the top because also when the flashback when Lucy is escaping from the blonde woman that's been torturing her, she's like, stay out of there, you little slut.
Then when Anna goes down into the dungeon, she finds the woman with the face mask bolted to her skull. She helps her escape, brings her upstairs. Don't know how that lady's walking because it looks like she has bones jutting out from her lower extremities. But again, instead of calling for help, Anna puts that lady in the bathtub and gives her like an old Raggedy Bird bath and then tries to undo
it's at that point in the film why wouldn't you already called your mother? Somewhere, somehow, there's a record of you being there that's tied to you. Why wouldn't you call for help for this person? She just stays in the house.
Okay, so of course, when we meet the group who are trying to recreate martyrdom, the leader, Mademoiselle, they have captured Anna and they have her tied up to a chair. And this is when Mademoiselle explains what they're doing. I thought that was so poorly executed. Like that writing was so corny.
With her scrapbook of
because
pictures.
she has her scrapbook of photos of people, because martyrdom is like identified by the look in someone's eyes. And what they're trying to exemplify is that someone has transcended like selfishness and selflessness and pain, and they're seeing beyond. And so we get all these images of people with their eyes sort of like looking up at the ceiling. And the music that's accompanying the scrapbook, like I feel like they thought it was giving something that is not.
These overly pixelated pictures.
Yeah,
like, I can barely see these people.
That did not work for me.
Well, it also I kind of take issue with how the film defines what a martyr is, because it's somebody that's sacrificing or allowing themselves to go through pain for a cause or a belief is kind of the major definition of being a martyr. And these people are being tortured against their will.
Yeah.
And not for a cause they believe in.
Getting to the story, we reviewed the movie Flatliners, the 1990 film, on our podcast. And this movie reminded me of that, in the sense that what is the purpose of what they're doing? Because just like in Flatliners, they all want to sort of die for 2 to 3 minutes so they can see what's after and then be resuscitated. Mm-hmm. So essentially that's what the people in Martyrs are doing. They want to have someone be close to death so they can tell them what they see. But then it's like, for what purpose? Like, and that's probably what was most disappointing, is like, is this group trying to find out if there's like heaven or hell? Because if there is, they want to live right to make sure they get to heaven.
Well, yeah, because the group that we see, it's all these older white people.
Because they're so old and decrepit. It's like, okay, either way, maybe you might just want to stop what you're doing and like live right, because you're close to dying anyway. Mm-hmm. Like, stop capturing people and torturing them. I just didn't.
Well, the whole religious component makes what they're doing immediately blasphemous anyway, that you're questioning that aren't you just supposed to have faith? If that's your bag, aren't you just supposed to believe that something's going to happen?
Let me finish through my little notes. There's a scene where Anna's getting her hair cut, and the person cutting her hair is like violently taking the shears, which gave me so much anxiety, because I thought, you're going to cut yourself. Mm-hmm. And then ultimately they just buzz her head.
Yes.
So that seems so pointless. That entire like 20-minute segment
is quite dull, actually.
It's very dull. Like, there's nothing happening except Anna's getting punched and slapped a lot.
And they keep feeding her this thing that looks like that fancy pudding from Pudu Pudu, which we learned is closed.
Yeah, for anyone who knows about Pudu Pudu, that fancy pudding shop, mm-hmm. I think they were only in LA though.
Yeah, I don't know. We tried it because I was intrigued and did not understand how it was operational in the first place. But they had just this nice,
yeah, but like $14 bowls of pudding.
It looked like Pudu Pudu that they were feeding to this woman. And
I thought what it looked like is when you buy the split pea soup that needs to be reconstituted, mm-hmm. but they didn't reconstitute it.
Yeah, there were some watery bits too.
But the point of what you're saying is that it was quite dull. Mm-hmm. The like big segment where Anna is being like abused. I shouldn't say quote, she was being abused, but it's not as gruesome as, it's just kind of dry. Mm-hmm. When Lucie kills the family, then a bunch of people show up, like, who look like they're from the Matrix, and they're so aggressive. And then it's like, immediately they start this torturing on Anna. But I thought, shouldn't they give it a minute to make sure the authorities don't come? Mm-hmm. They've cleaned up. I don't know. I just feel like there's so much happening that doesn't make full sense to me.
Right. Or, they didn't verify. She did make, because I was stuck on, she made a phone call. Eventually her mother's going to look for her. Eventually that's going to be mentioned as the last time that she spoke to her daughter.
There's a scene. So when Anna reaches martyrdom, we get like a representation of it. And it's basically her seeing the light, which,
like the nebulous universe.
Okay, sure. Then there's a scene, because now everyone's like, oh my God, like she's reached martyrdom. So they start calling everyone like, you got to make your way. And there's a scene where all these fancy, like classic Mercedes Benz are like pulling into the driveway. And one of them like skirts around the corner. Like that was so ridiculous.
It's silly.
Then they say that they've been doing this for 17 years and only 3 people previously have reached martyrdom, but they died before they could say what they saw. So again, what was the purpose? Like you went through all this and you haven't like achieved what you're trying to achieve. But if you're worried about heaven or hell or the afterlife, you need to stop doing this. Like it's and then of course the ending is very ambiguous because Mademoiselle says, can you imagine what is after death? And then the guy says no. And she says, keep doubting. So of course it leaves it very open. Okay, the better story, I have 2 of them. The first one, if it's about Lucie, I think we should have started with this young girl escaping an abusive home. And then we see her in foster care and she's tormented by the abuse she suffered. But ultimately she goes back to the home of her abusers to get revenge.
Well, it's very Death in the Maiden.
Of course, yes. And then when she gets there, we realize that the thing that's been haunting her is not this ghost. It's the sort of idea of this other girl who was at the house who she left. And that girl is still there and is now a grown woman. So we have this like monster lady living in the house, which feels like barbarian. And then we see Lucie torture the family. And then maybe the gag is like, that's the wrong family or something like that. Or if we want to do this group of people who are like religious, or I don't know what they are, I feel like we see 2 examples of people they have in their little institute. And if it's all about suffering, I feel like we needed to see the long suffering. Like the movie should have been more about like if they want to make torture porn, like we needed to see like long drawn out sessions of how these people are suffering and what it does to their psyche, and
at least a little bit into the lore of this kind of universe that's not unlike Hellraiser, right?
Yeah.
And the Cenobites and that kind of, because that feels like it's very much headed towards that direction.
Because even Anna, we get like a 10-minute segment where she's sort of letting go of the pain, and we hear Lucie's voice in her head saying like, you're not afraid, you're not afraid. So they even like accelerate her suffering, but then it doesn't make for a very compelling story. It really is just about the violence they're trying to depict. So in that way, it felt a little cheap,
like an exploitation film.
But
that's what torture porn is. And I know somebody had asked earlier on if that's the beginning of torture porn. No, I don't think so. I think both of Eli Roth's Hostels were before this film. I want to say, wasn't Hostel 2 2007?
I don't know, but I could rewatch Hostel.
Just actually. I like Cabin Fever, but Hostel.
Okay, I'm gonna look through these comments.
What would you give this film?
And
it was remade in 2015.
Yeah,
that's considered. I remember watching it, and it's not. It doesn't even have the shock factor, I think, of the original. But
yeah, I would give it like
1 for me.
I think I would give it 1.5 out of 5. I think if you take away the uber violence, it's a silly movie. So, okay, someone's asking if we are ending horror movies for next week. So starting November. Yeah.
Oh, you don't want to do horror hags?
Oh, you want to do horror hags?
I feel that
would be more light.
Everybody's gonna vote for whatever happens to the baby Jane, I'm sure, but that's a fun category.
I don't know what the theme will be. We'll definitely have like a Thanksgiving related one.
Okay. With the ice storm?
Yeah. But I don't know what. I think I'm kind of horror movied out.
Okay.
And we don't have any new horror films to watch, right?
I'm not sure.
Oh, like there are no screeners to watch of horror films.
I'm sure there's something.
Oh, well. Okay.
Well, I mean, for the podcast, we'll do a horror film.
Oh, for the podcast tomorrow, we'll watch a horror film. Oh, it's your turn to choose. Did you already choose? Someone asked, do we think Anna told Mademoiselle what she saw? Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, she told her something that was enough for her to blow her brains out.
Which to me would suggest that it's not heaven.
Yeah, and again, like I thought the ending is like it leaves a lot for conversation, which would have been interesting, except that the previous 90 minutes was so like, okay.
That ending would have been a great impactful way to end something good. Like if everything that had been come before was compelling to me, that would have been a good ending.
Well, I think if the movie would have been framed around these sadists and they have been doing these evil things, but they want proof that there's no heaven or hell so that they can feel good when they die, that it's done. But then the woman, the martyr, tells them, like, actually, there is heaven, which means there's hell, and y'all are going. I think that would be terrifying. Like, but then that wouldn't explain why she would kill herself, because you would think she'd want to repent or do some work to maybe not go to hell. So again, it's just like, if this were a better done movie, I think I would be more interested in contemplating the ending. But as it is, yeah, I think that she told her enough that she wanted to kill herself. But I do think, I mean, I think if people are okay with violence and they like horror, this is a movie to watch.
They're all movies to watch.
Yeah. I think people are split about this movie. Some people really like it, and some people think it's like the worst movie ever.
I don't think it's the worst movie ever, but I think that it is trying really hard to justify itself.
The violence in Terrifier 2 is too cartoonish to be truly disturbing to me. I agree. Well, in general, horror films don't scare me because I know what I'm watching is not real. So yeah, in something like Terrifier 2, although I do think the practical effects are very effective. But yeah, I mean, I don't know that I think it's, I mean, it's disturbing in the sense that being in an audience where people were really getting off on it, I was more disturbed by the people.
I think, yeah, part of that energy, I think, is disturbing.
But then we're also there too because we have curiosity and we want to talk about it. So, I mean, I feel like I'm not too far away from those people as far as wanting to see it, but it just is weird to see people get so excited. The remake, you did watch the remake of Martyrs, yeah.
I think Inside was remade as well. Also not very well, but
the merch is coming. I still have to supply some things to the graphic designer. I'm very slow on things like this. Let's see. Terrifier 2, long and tedious. Yeah, I've seen that. Okay. Hi, India. Hi, New York City. You had a dream that I was on. Okay, someone wrote they had a dream that they were on the phone with me and I was acting as a bartender and I refused to give someone a specific drink because I thought it was gross. Well, I will say, I like doing hair. Like, I've refused to do certain haircuts or hair colors because I didn't like it. And I don't want someone walking around looking crazy and then it's like, oh, I did it. So if I were a bartender, I probably wouldn't make something that makes me gag. Like, you want like there's some beverage that has egg in it. I think that I'd be like, no, I don't make those. That shit is disgusting. I'm not cracking an egg at the bar at 1 a.m. and it's all busy and no. And I have to go wash my hands. No.
I don't think you would be a good bartender.
I don't think I would be either.
Because you need to, you know, especially in a slower
Well, wait,
bar.
why do you think I would be a bad bartender?
Because you have to tend to emotional needs sometimes of the clientele, and I don't think you'd be very good at that.
What do you think doing hair was? Let me tell you something. When people sit down in the chair, people I've never met, just instantly, yeah, so I just came back from Jamaica. I'm cheating on my husband because he's impotent, but you know, like I need it. Like I need it. I have to feel good. And it's like, hi, my name's Joseph. Like, like, God damn, bitch. But
yes, you're an immediate. Yeah, but again, that's like a bartender or many other occupations where you're an immediate conduit for as a witness to their experience because you have no connection to them and they have to get something off their chest.
You're right, but you must add a very important component to that I always feel people take for granted is I am
captive.
You are paying me to stand here for 90 minutes. So you're taking advantage of the fact that I have to just stand here and listen to you. And that's what feels icky. It feels like I'm being taken advantage of. Someone said we're funny and honest. Thank you.
Thank you.
Someone likes Hostel 2. I actually rewatched Hostel 2 in the old house, maybe like 2 years ago. And I do have to say, for a long time, I used to say I don't want to go to Europe, back when it was called Europe.
Because Europe.
Europe, specifically Eastern Europe, because after watching Hostel, because I thought like someone was going to kidnap me, and so ignorant. Now, of course, traveling to the EU sounds lovely.
Well, you've been.
Yes, of course. Not of course. Some people haven't.
Isn't I Spit on Your Grave the father of torture porn films? That's, definitely, I can't think of something off the top of my head that came before that, unless was Cannibal Holocaust after that. There are things, but leading up to it. And I Spit on Your Grave, we watched that for the box set that came out. And
it was interesting.
And a really bad sequel.
Yeah. Featuring the original lady. That was terrible.
Yeah, it was really bad.
The original is disturbing, but it's not well done. Nick needs to finally talk in detail about what happened to Baby Jane. Baby Jane's playing on TMZ today at 12, or TMZ. TCM at 12:30.
Yeah, starring Madonna and
starring Madonna and Kylie Minogue. No, who would be her nemesis?
Madonna's?
Yeah, Mariah Carey.
Mariah Carey. Yeah. Walter Hill had bought the rights for Whatever Happened to Baby Jane about a decade ago, and I still wanted a version with Meryl Streep and Sigourney Weaver.
Oh, did you say Death Becomes Her is being remade?
I heard that. Somebody told me that out at a bar. I haven't verified that, but this person had told me Anne Hathaway and Jessica Chastain. I do like Jessica Chastain, but neither of those ladies are particularly funny.
I could just rewatch Death Becomes Her.
Yeah.
One movie theme for the live videos could be political or election themed. I like that idea.
The Parallax View.
Oh, the crazy killer doll movie called Megan with the number 3.
Yeah, I'm excited for that.
Yeah, of course I want to watch that. Thank you, Stevie. Have you seen the movie Creep 2014 with Mark Duplass?
Yes, it's a pretty decent little indie film, and
I haven't seen it.
I thought you did with me, but there's a sequel.
Do you know what it's, or can you think of what it's about?
The basic plot mechanics are escaping me, but I remember thinking Mark Duplass is creepy. Yeah, and I've not seen the sequel.
Oh.
There's also a movie called Creep with Franca Potente from
Franca Potente.
Am I saying her name wrong? The German actress from Run Lola Run.
I don't know. It makes me think of polenta. Holiday season movies are coming. That's always fun. I'm excited for that new Lindsay Lohan Christmas movie.
Joseph gets cranky at a lot of classic Christmas films. Like I love It's a Wonderful Life, and you get cranky about that. But
I don't know. Seeing a bunch of white people during that time period.
These are poor white people.
I know, but all I ever fixate on is how they probably treated black people back then.
Sure.
And then I get frustrated.
Fair.
Someone comments on my beard. I did color it. Thank you. She told me someone loves the podcast. Thank you. Did you know Johnny McGovern has like a reality competition show called Go for the Gold?
I did not know that. I see him around LA sometimes.
But we see the strippers at I've seen the strippers at like Precinct. So I've seen these strippers who are in the show, and I see Johnny McGovern at my gym. I don't know what he's doing there, but it's not working out. I don't mean like that, like it's not working out, like he's not in shape. I mean like he's not exercising. I think he's just cruising for attractive young men. Yeah, the news is horrifying. If you really want to be scared, just turn on the news. I don't remember. I like the movie Inside, but I don't remember the remake.
There is a remake, and I barely remember it. It's not good. I interviewed those directors, Alexander Bustillo and Julian Maury, after they did their second film, Lurid, also with Beatrice Dahl in 2011. And I remember they told me, somebody's remaking Inside, and it's going to star Uma Thurman, but don't tell anybody. And that never came to fruition, obviously. But I don't know if that would have been any better, but
I was giggling because there's a random comment saying eggnog is gross to me. I also don't like eggnog, but you do.
Yeah, but I can't have it in the house because I'll drink like the whole carton.
Someone asked if we would consider uploading the podcast to YouTube. I would say no, because it's on a lot of platforms and you don't have to have you don't have to have the Spotify app. Like you can stream it from like your web browser. So yeah, as long as you have a web browser, you can access Anchor, Spotify. I think even Apple Podcasts streams directly from the browser. Like you don't have to have iOS. So I'm saying that because it does take a long time to upload to YouTube, and it's just I'm trying to. There's so much work involved in all this. I don't know that I want to add one more thing like uploading the podcast. Also, we record the podcast directly to Anchor, and then Anchor spreads it out. So if we uploaded it to YouTube, I would have to download it from Anchor. That takes time to then re-upload it. My hairdresser is practically my therapist. I hope you tip them well. But that's a good point. I don't like some hairstylists talk too much.
Mm-hmm. Well, I don't have to deal with that usually.
Yeah. And I know I seem very chatty, but if I can also be quiet. So I also agree that some hairstylists talk too damn much, which is why my hair is long right now, because I just got tired of going, and it just feels like I just want to relax and get my hair cut. I don't want to have to recount my week and then hear you talk about all your lascivious behavior. More comments. People are being very nice. Hello. Oh, someone's saying, yeah, you can call someone a stylist, a hairstylist, or a hairdresser. I don't know what I would prefer. I usually say I'm a hairstylist. So, but I think hairdresser sounds fun because it sounds old school.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I would also like hair technician.
Oh boy.
Let's see. Moving on. Oh, someone likes your response to me when I say on the podcast, this is fish jelly, because you usually have some kind of like grunt. Nick in general is very difficult. So I feel like your response to me is like you trying to be difficult.
I'm not trying to be difficult.
You just are.
I think we're both actually difficult people. You think you're easy?
I think I'm more easygoing than you are.
No. In what world? In what way? Okay. We're not lying on camera. Okay.
Look at, you're worked up now. You're mad right now.
You're not. I'm not mad.
You get mad so
you
fast.
are certainly not easy.
You're mad right now.
Try to get him to go out.
Are you mad?
No. No.
Do you possess anger?
No.
Have either of you seen Under the Skin?
I love Under the Skin. I think that was my favorite film they would ScarJo.
Speaking of dry, hold on.
Me or Scarlett Johansson?
Me.
Yeah, Jonathan Glazer film. You know, he's got a new film finally, I think next year, based on a Martin Amis novel about the Holocaust, The Zone of Interest, which I read. Yeah, I like Jonathan Glazer, who also did Sexy Beast and Birth with Nicole Kidman.
Someone mentioned that on the artwork for I Spit on Your Grave, the butt that we see is actually Demi Moore's. And we did know that because we watched the box set. But that is a fun piece of cinema news. How do you feel about remakes of movies you've seen in your lifetime?
Usually they're unnecessary. Every now and then I'm like, oh, somebody had more money, or, you know, say like, what's his name with the Evil Dead films? It felt like, oh, he was returning to Sam Raimi when he actually had money to make the film he wanted, or something like that.
I like that idea of like the person redoing their own thing. I also like when, like I know I've mentioned movies that I thought like weren't very well done, but I like the bones of it. So it'd be fun. I just can't think of any examples of a remake that I thought was better than.
No, or, you know, filmmakers, especially foreign language filmmakers, who try to protect their baby by being the one to remake it in English is also kind of a disservice to them a lot of times, I think, except for somebody like Haneke, who's Funny Games. I actually do like both versions, but yeah, almost. I think it's an interesting exercise sometimes for a filmmaker, but most of the time I'd stick with maybe you should just pay homage, but also build upon something or stretch it in a new direction. Like Gus Van Sant's Psycho, I think, is a perfect example of like, oh, you're trying to do this shot by shot thing, and I just don't know why you thought anybody wanted or needed that.
Someone said we saved them from watching The Watcher. I was entertained. I just was let down in the end.
I was too. The first episode I actually think is not bad, and there are people I like in it. But
have you watched The Cook, the Thief, His Wife and Her Love?
That is a fantastic film.
We have not reviewed it though.
No, it is on my list of things to do for the podcast with Helen Mirren. It's Peter Greenaway. I like almost all of Peter Greenaway's films, but that's my favorite. A Z and Two Knots is a close second. They just had a retrospective of his work in at the American Cinematheque, but it's an NC-17 movie, but it is the soundtrack for that. It's Cook, the Thief, His Wife and Her Lover, kind of a perfect film, really.
Oh, are we Game of Thrones fans? I'm not going to say I'm not a fan. I've never watched it.
I tried to get him to watch. We got 3 episodes in, and Joseph was overwhelmed.
I don't like when there are a lot of characters and like a lot of episodes I have to catch up on, because when you started it was already like 3 or 4 seasons in. But I will say back in 2019, I was working like out of the area. So I was in a hotel and I came back to my hotel room and turned on the TV and I watched the full episode of Game of Thrones that happened to be the very final episode. So I felt like that probably explains my love of Game of Thrones. Like I just watched the last episode and that was good. But that's not to say I wouldn't at some point. I don't know when I would have the time to watch all of them. Have you seen The Ref?
Is that the
Dennis Leary
movie? Kevin Spacey, Christine Baranski?
Yes. I think I've seen that too.
I do remember thinking that was kind of funny.
Someone asked if we watched Nope or Men. The answer is yes, and we have reviews for both of those videos.
You have not seen Men, though.
Oh no, but I know what the story's about because I gave the synopsis. Okay, I just got lost in all the comments. Hold, please. The website is up.
Yeah, you just posted it.
And I just posted a review Nick wrote for Run, Sweetheart, Run. It's fishjellyfilms.com. Okay, someone cuts their own hair. So do I.
Same.
We won someone over with our review of Cruising.
Oh, it's such a good movie. I think it's so underrated.
Yeah, I wish that podcasts, like there was a better way to leave comments. Yeah, I don't know how that works.
Yeah, The Watcher, Mia Farrow is the only reason to watch The Watcher, I think, really. But
we don't watch American Horror Story.
I have watched, I had a friend that begged me to watch season 3, Coven, and I did. I watched all of that from start to finish. And you know what? I do like Jessica Lange a lot. But yeah, Ryan Murphy, I think he's very talented and has things that he does very well. I don't know that I think horror is one of them.
Someone says, I appreciate Nick's movie knowledge. He really knows his stuff. Yes, he does. We're both great, quirks and all. What quirks? No, just kidding. Have you seen the movie Hard Candy? Is that with Patrick Nelson or
Wilson?
Patrick Wilson
and Elliot Page,
where he's like molesting someone? Or
well, the tables are turned again, very Death and the Maiden style.
He had abused her,
and she takes charge of him, and I think threatens to castrate him.
Oh,
I forgot about that movie, but yeah.
Have you seen Francois Ozon's Beautiful Summer of '85? Yep,
I reviewed that for Ion Cinema, I think out of the Toronto Film Festival. We have that on Blu-ray as well. Joseph hasn't seen it.
Oh, a good suggestion is when we give our rating of the film, we should say the name of the film again. Yeah,
Okay.
that would require I remember to do it.
Mhm.
But I do think that's a good idea. Will you be reading Alan Rickman's diaries that got published? I believe Sigourney has mentioned briefly.
I don't have them yet, but yeah, I will be reading those.
Can you please do a review of Hereditary? If we did, it would be on the podcast.
Yeah, but which I do really like. I'm very excited for Ari Aster's new film, Disappointment Boulevard, which I hear is like a Douglas Sirk horror film. In part, well, I can't do it. Sorry, I don't know. I think I know something. I don't know if it's been announced yet about it.
Oh, okay. Did you watch a movie called Sissy?
No, we haven't watched that.
Oh. La, la. Oh, someone said, I stopped being a hairdresser when a client said to me, I expect you to be my psychologist. Yeah. I mean, that's part of why I don't like doing hair anymore, is it was just like emotionally a lot.
Although there could be a way that if you expect that, you got to pay the fee for that. Like there's got to be an additional emotional labor fee.
It was tough because there were some people I did genuinely enjoy, like when they'd walk in, I'd be like, oh, it's going to be a nice hour and a half because they're lovely and chill. And then there were people who were like a nightmare.
Mm-hmm.
Like, so then it just like the balance didn't make sense, especially for a job that should be like fun and easy.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, unfortunately.
Well, yeah, again, though, it's too bad there's not something that you could have a client sign ahead of time to be like, oh, you have to pay the emotional labor upcharge.
Well, you know what I think would be fun, I've mentioned this before, is maybe like later in my life, you know, we live in like a work live type space, and I could have like a little studio where I do hair, but it's only like people I know and like. So it's like a visit, because I did cut some people's hair who like I was friendly with. So that was always fun because we would like talk.
Mm-hmm.
So, and, you know, and then at the end they hand me money, and I did enjoy that. So I think it would be fun to do hair again if it could be with people I actually enjoy talking to. So you could build a clientele like that. It's just, for me, it was just like a lot of people I didn't know. And then once you do someone's hair once and they come back, it's hard to get rid of them. I have fired clients before,
Mm-hmm.
which is not difficult to do. Like I'll just say I don't want to do your hair anymore. But like, or when I managed studios, it was like telling clients they can't come back was difficult. What are some TV or movie characters that resonate the most with you? Gosh, I can't think of.
Ellen Ripley. I mean, there's a lot, really.
Yeah, there have been a lot who I've said I really connected with them, but I cannot think of any right now. Someone said they like when I say thank you at the end of the videos, like I just gave a presentation. I feel like I'm supposed to say what I thought to prove your loan. That's funny. We've been asked about this multiple times. Something about the Cabinet of Curiosities or
on Netflix. I think that just came out.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know when we would find time to. One of the worst remakes to me was An Affair to Remember.
Which well, because it's Love Affair from the 30s with Charles Boyer, and then there's the Deborah Carr remake, An Affair to Remember. Then there's The Affair in the 90s with Annette Bening and Warren Beatty. Are you talking about the Deborah Carr, the 1950s version? I agree that it's very 50s. I like the earlier version.
Someone asked the best way to support us in the algorithm. You know, it's so weird. YouTube sends a lot of like information on this stuff, and it's all so vague because it's like and subscribe and then view length. So like what really hurts the algorithm is if someone who is subscribed to us only watches the video for a very short amount of time, like 5-10% of the video. So it's just weird. I don't fully understand.
I didn't know that. But what if they come back and watch it later?
Well, that's actually what the person's asking, like what happens if they do that? So then it's like, yeah, I don't know. Like what if because that's the other thing is like you open YouTube, because this happens to me too. I open YouTube and then I see like stuff that I really want to watch, but I don't have the time right now.
Mhm.
So I'll watch like a minute of it and then go back to work, and then later that night. So I'm hoping that does that. I mean, if they can tell if you're a subscriber, I would think they'd be able to tell that you revisited a video, but I don't know. All I know is I appreciate how supportive everyone has been. So I'm happy with that. I'm not, as people can probably tell, we're not super aggressive about like and subscribe and give us money. And I only say hit the thanks button because I'm so used to it now. So, and people are hitting the thanks button. So I'm not stupid. I'm going to keep saying it. But many people have asked if we would watch The Patient. So I feel like we need to watch at least the first episode.
Mm. Yeah, I would. I like the people. Well, do I like Steve Carell? I guess I do. Mm.
Someone said they just discovered us this past week and love our videos. Thank you. Can you name the best Polish director or movie?
There are so many fantastic Polish film directors. Żuławski, Possession is the #1 slot forever and always. But, Andrzej Wajda, Jerzy Skolimowski, Polanski is technically Polish, even though only he hasn't done a lot of Polish films. But yeah, Skolimowski, Polanski, Żuławski. I feel like you have to say Wajda. The guy who did the Hourglass Sanatorium, whose name is escaping me at the moment. There are so many fantastic Polish film directors. More recent ones, Agnieszka Smoczynska, Agnieszka Holland. Anyway, sorry.
Someone said, how do we feel about Ryan Murphy defending the show, stating he did his due diligence in attempting contact with the victims' families? Well, here's the thing. I feel like there are no, like, if we have a problem with someone capitalizing on someone else's pain, then we need to make laws to prevent that. Like, we need to force storytellers and filmmakers, whatever the medium is, that they have to pay for these stories. And the reality is, like, that's not how things are set up. So Ryan Murphy is not breaking the law by making a series about a serial killer and his victims. So it seems shitty that he didn't do more to sort of support. But then how is he supposed to do that? I mean, not all of the victims.
I think most of them don't want to have to relive that at all. But I don't know. That's up to the artist if they want to go down that road. And he does, and he did. I don't know. For better or worse.
I think it seems like if it were me, would I try to do something? Yeah. I mean, whether it's like give a percentage of the proceeds to some organization that helps with victims of sexual violence or something, I don't know. I don't know that I would say, like, let me write a check to all the victims, because that also feels kind of gross. Like, here's $10,000 for your
pain,
your pain over your dead son. I mean, that also seems ridiculous. So yeah, I don't know. But again, if we have a problem with it, we should probably push legislation that prevents that kind of stuff. Do you know what God's Creatures is?
Yes, we did not. I reviewed that for Ion Cinema out of Cannes with Emily Watson, which I thought was just okay. I like Emily Watson and Paul Mescal. It's just okay. It's an A24 film, though.
Someone just said that the new American Horror Story takes place in New York 80s gay scene. So that has piqued my interest.
I've seen the billboards up for that. Is that out now?
Yeah, now I'm curious. I would definitely watch the first episode. Nick's birthday is in November in like 3 weeks.
I was going to say a good marketing,
a good gift,
a good marketing design for would have something to do with Double Scorpio.
Yeah. More nice comments. Thank you. Someone wants to know the inside scoop on Ari Aster's new.
It has to do with somebody who has a supporting role. It might have been announced that she's in it. I don't, because I heard that months ago, but I was told not to say anything. But
well, then I guess you shouldn't. I don't know who James Ponsolt is. Do you?
I guess you haven't seen a James Ponsoldt film. I
I
mean,
like Smashed and The Spectacular Now.
Smashed is good with Mary Elizabeth Winstead and Aaron Paul.
Oh, those are two movies,
Yes.
Smashed and The
Spectacular Now is Shailene Woodley. Yes, those are, I'd say, amongst his best. He did disappear. He had a new movie this year about it's kind of like a girl version of Stand By Me. I'm forgetting the name of it off the top of my head. I reviewed that for Ion Cinema. I think he screwed up with The Circle with Emma Watson and Glenn Headley and Bill Paxton, because that was terrible. And Tom Hanks, but yeah, he's a good filmmaker.
How does one become a movie critic? You just do it.
Yeah, you just do it.
Just start writing about movies or making videos.
Well, you can always start with your own blog, because if you're just starting out on your own and you don't have any connections and you're trying to apply to places that have openings, you have samples of writing readily available if you have your own blog.
The reason we got access to a lot of movies when we first started the channel is because Nick was already writing for like a reputable website. So I was kind of watching the movies with him, which I wasn't supposed to be doing. So, but what I was going to say is, even if you start your own channel, I mean, if you notice on YouTube, there are people with like 30 subscribers who get screeners they're all crap movies, but you'll get views because no one else is reviewing those films. I mean, there are so many films out there that we don't even review because they just look abysmal.
I think that's the important thing too, is you have to go for the low-hanging fruit sometimes, which there are good films that you stumble across in there, but don't say no to anything.
So you'll notice like channels that have like, they're newer, they review movies you've never heard of because the people distributing those films are desperate for anyone to watch them. And then if they do review more popular films, it's usually after they've come out, so they're just watching them on the platform they're on. But yeah, I would say just do it. Oh God, I just got lost. Okay. Well, we should probably end in like a few minutes. People are saying nice things. We have seen Gone Girl.
Oh yeah, Gone Girl.
I recall thinking I liked it.
Yeah, I did like it.
American Horror Story is playing now. They're dropping 2 episodes per week.
Okay. Yeah, we should watch that. Who would play Amanda Ripley, Ellen Ripley's daughter? I'd have to think about that, because I would want to be particular.
Hi, Ireland. We did talk about the Chucky series only in that we watched the first 2 episodes.
And I like Devon Sawa.
Yeah. Happy early birthday to Nick.
Thank you.
What are our Halloween costumes? Nick is going to be
a witch hunter, Witchfinder General. My inspo was Vincent Price's Witchfinder General. So I'll actually, after we get off this, I'll show you my ensemble.
Oh, well, for me, I don't know that I'm going to get dressed up, but I did buy a costume, and it's I'm going to look like a medical patient, like with the medical gown and the bloody bandages. And then I have a sign on my chest that says "Sick of these bitches." But I don't know where I would go to wear it, so maybe not. The advanced screenings, well, you had to ask for like the more major ones.
Oh, it took me a while to break into getting on the press list for studios. And, a major breakthrough was getting approved for Rotten Tomatoes, of course, as much as I don't really like having to, be part of that rhetoric. Rotten Tomatoes opened a lot of doors as well. But being insistent and, being tenacious and bothering these publicists and the people that are responsible for digital press, the worst they can do is keep saying no. And some of them make you jump through hoops. Like you have to show the metrics. You might not justifiably, they'll say they don't have space for you in screenings because you don't have the metrics, blah, blah, blah. But you just keep doing it.
My hair's being crazy now. And then for Fish Jelly, we get emails. Like, I've never reached out to anyone, and every day there are emails saying like, please watch this movie. So I think they'll just find you
smaller stuff.
For smaller stuff. And I don't know if the channels that have fewer views they have to reach out to these people, but I've never reached out to anyone. And we get so many emails asking us to review movies. So I think if you build it, they will come. It'll just be like films no one else wants to watch.
Yeah, Shoeless Joe.
Why did I fire clients? So I used to do someone's hair who probably everyone knows. She in popular horror films. And
Rose.
Huh? Say that.
You said it before.
But that's not what I'm talking about. But her too.
Oh.
Yeah. So she was just like literally creepy. But the reason I would fire people when I was managing studios is they were rude to the staff. So like being dismissive, telling them to hurry up, making people uncomfortable, talking about inappropriate things. You know, it's one thing when it's just, I used to have my own private studio, so it's just the two of us in there. So I can decide what I find appropriate. But when we're in a larger space where there are other people, we have to be considerate of like, not everyone wants to hear about your sexual things, or not everyone wants to hear explicit language. So there are things like that. Then there was this very like rich guy who was like the CEO of this tech company who would come in, and he would pull up in his like $1 million car. And he was like this really unattractive guy who tried to convince us all that he was a model in addition to being like the CEO of a Fortune 500 company. But
is it Elon Musk?
I wish. But he would like be inappropriate with the female staff and then be very dismissive to the one male stylist. So I like, that would be a reason like why I fired him, because I'm like, you make the ladies uncomfortable. And so things like that. And then, yeah, just people being difficult and weird. And thank you, Laura. Yes. Well, we have to think about it. You know, people have asked to meet us in person, and I'm sure we can all understand that I'm a little nervous sometimes, particularly like people wanting to be in our home. I think I'd be more comfortable maybe initially meeting people like in a public space. Yeah. So I would love to meet people, but I think, yeah, I get a little nervous sometimes because we've had some incidents where people approach us and it's a little odd. Like maybe they don't know when it's time to like move on, and you know, then I get nervous, like, are they gonna follow me home, or I don't know what's happening. I think I'd have to work up to having someone in my home. Okay, we're past the hour mark, so let me quickly hi Canada. There are a lot of weirdos in LA, 100%. Oh my God. I saw someone said maybe the CEO was a hand or foot model. That's so funny because we would say that in the back room. Like, or we would say he models dog food. We would say that too. Or the male one, he would always say, like, is he a model or a camel? Anyway. Rose, she's a trip. Oh God. Yeah, Rose is a trip. If you ever come to NYC, let us know. It'd be fun. Oh yeah. Yeah, I would love to meet people. We live in LA, so I mean, I would definitely, I always say if someone promises me a burrito, I probably show up. But we should probably get going. Thank you, LJ. So I don't know if we're gonna do a live next week. Maybe we will, but we don't have a theme. So we got to think of one. I like the political idea.
I like horror hags.
Nick did live in Minnesota during Andrew Cunanan time, but you were little.
I was a kid. I was, when did he do that? 97 when he killed Versace?
If someone wants to do,
13.
I'm sorry, finish.
Oh, nothing.
No, I just got excited because someone said LA meetup at Cheesecake Factory.
The Grove.
At the Grove.
That's the best one.
Yeah, like on the patio. It would have to be like before 6, like 4 to 6. That's a sweet spot when it's not difficult.
During the week.
During the week, where it's like not too crowded.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that sounds fun. Gay homosexual. I'm in NYC and I will definitely buy you a burrito. I haven't been to New York since we went to go see Sigourney in Vanya, Sonia, Masha, Spike.
Vanya, Sonia, Masha, and Spike. Mm-hmm.
And when was that?
The tail end of 2013. Oh, it was fabulous. It was right in front. It was before it moved to Broadway.
Yeah, so I haven't been to New York in a long time, but I would like to go. It'd be fun to go for like a week and I could just work and like enjoy the city.
Are you?
But when's a good time? Because I don't want to be cold.
Well, summer. Anytime
But
in summer.
when's the latest?
I'm sure. Well, fall starts in September, so you should be fine.
So probably September would be when I'd go.
Yeah,
like now it's too late.
We were there in December last time.
Yeah, that was the worst.
Are you a Barbara fan?
Barbara Streisand?
I'm assuming that's the way it's spelled. Yeah.
Oh, okay. I've only seen one movie of hers.
No, you've seen Funny Girl, and you've seen
I have.
What's Up, Doc.
I don't remember.
You've seen The Guilt Trip.
I remember with the
Seth
guy.
Rogen.
I remember that one.
Mm-hmm.
And then the only Barbara Streisand song I know is "No More Tears" with her and Donna Summer. I like that song.
Okay, I'm not.
And I've seen Barbara Streisand in concert New Year's Eve 2002 at the MGM Grand. Those tickets were like, I didn't pay for them, but they were like,
yeah,
like thousands of dollars.
Barbara's a big deal. I'm not a big fan. What comes to mind is how her poster was used to signify that the black gay guy from the gym in Bros was like a femme lover.
Yeah, he liked Barbara.
And it's like that man, I feel like would not have had Barbara up on the wall. It would have been Diana or Tina Turner. But
well, I mean, I don't know. But I don't dislike Barbara.
No.
Thank you, Candy. Thank you, Donna. Donna Summer and Beth. Yeah, I do like actually. And then Donna Summer has a live album where she does that song with some young singer who has a beautiful voice as well. So maybe, well, I guess I'll have to wait till next summer to go to New York. If I'm still alive.
You can go to New York at any time. It's a fabulous city.
I don't want to be cold and wet.
But you like Minnesota, and that's cold.
Yeah, but Minnesota is cold. It's not wet. It's so cold that it's never wet. Like when it snows, it's like hard. But New York, it's like that slushy rain, so it's dirty. And
I'll take New York any day over Minnesota.
Sure. Okay. Well, thank you everyone for watching. We'll see you later, and I'll figure out what our next theme is. Do you have anything else to say?
No.
Okay.
Bye.